This week's episode is brought to you by HorrorBuzz.com. If you have a need for all the latest news on haunts, movies, TV, games, books, and more, then head to HorrorBuzz.com. Ask Your Doctor if HorrorBuzz.com is right for you. HorrorBuzz.com may cause sleeplessness, headaches, dizziness, dysentery, darkened soul, lycanthropy, mild discomfort, vampirism, mild heart explosions, sugar high, shaking, impermanence, and a mild rash. For external use only, remember objects in the mirror are actually behind you, may contain nuts. HorrorBuzz.com.
Communicore Weekly. Come on and get geeky with Bob around boats and five-legged goats. Communicore Weekly. You might get some freaking. You waited all week. I'm sure you already know that it's the greatest online show.
Hello and welcome to Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show and home of the world's first pair of independently born identical twins.
And I'm Jeff. Oh man, I just totally stepped over your name.
That's fine. I'm
sorry.
George. I see, you didn't let me say it again.
And I'm Jeff. There we go. Okay, we nailed it, guys. You think we would have gotten it down by now, but clearly not. I jumped the gun.
What if people think this is like the first episode and they think that my name is George F?
It's possible. You see, I was just so excited to talk about these brief little news nuggets I wanted to throw in there. I just couldn't wait. That's what happened.
I really hope there aren't 9.
No. There's only 2. So
okay, good.
First of all, just for future reference, from now on, when you listen to episodes, go to CommunicoreWeekly.com to find the latest episode. That's always the best way for you to find the latest episode, whether it's the audio version or the video version. Go to CommunicoreWeekly.com. We update it weekly, so just go there because I know some of the other sources have had some issues lately. So CommunicoreWeekly.com if you don't already subscribe to us on iTunes, and you can always find the latest version. That's number 1 nugget. Nugget number 2. Birthday cards. Some of you have emailed us saying that my birthday was in June or July and I did not get my birthday surprise yet. Well, there's a valid reason for that. You see, let me just break it down for you really quickly. I order the actual cards. I send them to Georgia State. Okay. I send them to Andy, and he starts signing them, and he has George sign them, and he has Steve sign them, and then they go back to Andy, and then Andy FedExes them then to me, or bits and pieces at a time in California. Then I sign them, put the address on, stamp them, send them out. So that's been fine for the first couple of months. That said, for whatever reason, we have lost 1.5 shipments through FedEx that just never arrived at my house, and we are so behind, and we are so sorry. We don't mean to discriminate.
I'm signing right now.
He actually is. I can hear him scribbling away because I told him if he does not sign right now, he is fired from Communicore Weekly. So if you have not received your birthday surprise, we are sorry. It's going to come. You're going to get a belated birthday surprise. We apologize, but we just want to let you know that we love you and we're sorry.
And that makes it special.
It does make it special. So instead of saying happy birthday, I'll say happy belated birthday, but we still love you deep in our hearts. So that was only 2 nuggets. We're done. Should we go on with the rest of the show?
I guess so.
All right, let's do it.
It's time for Disney History.
When Walt Disney came up with the idea for Epcot, he had gigantic plans. His experimental prototype Community of Tomorrow was to be the city of the future, and what he thought would be the next step toward the actual future. Unfortunately, his ideas never came to fruition, but part of his original came true with the Land Pavilion at Epcot Center in 1982.
So it was an opening day pavilion in the Future World section of the park. The Land was Epcot Center's largest pavilion, spanning 6 massive acres. The theme of the pavilion was to educate guests on how they could live in harmony with the land around them and how important it was. The pavilion was sponsored by Kraft from 1982 to 1993. Those were some wonderful years. And the company incorporated a lot of education on healthy eating into the pavilion.
So when the pavilion itself actually opened, it featured 3 main attractions: Kitchen Cabaret, which was a fun musical show, Listen to the Land, which was a boat ride that taught guests about how to live on the land, and Symbiosis, a short film. And it also featured the Sunshine Season Food Fair, there we go, which was a healthy eating establishment. And a lot of the food served there was actually grown right there in the very pavilion. And it also had a very distinctive color scheme overall, very, very 80s of it, and is finally remembered by folks today who visited during that time period.
In 1993, when Nestle became the new sponsor, Kitchen Cabaret was transformed into Food Rocks, and Listen to the Land became Living with the Land. A year later, Symbiosis was replaced with Circle of Life, an environmental fable. And I'm doing everything not to sing Asamenya Yemeni Chimano.
But you'll say it.
In 2004, the pavilion had another major overhaul with a new logo, color scheme, and most importantly, new carpeting. Love new carpeting.
We all love new carpeting.
Yes, because all that walking apparently, wore the carpeting down.
It did.
The sunshine. See, now you got me doing it.
No, you did it. It's contagious.
Sunshine Season Food Fair was redesigned, and the Garden Grill restaurant was updated. And I'll tell you guys my lovely Garden Grill story some point in life with chocolate milk, but not right now.
Not right now.
No.
Also, unfortunately, Food Rocks was removed to make way for Soarin', which has been disappointing audiences and fans ever since.
Oh.
Just kidding, kind of. Mostly me. Anyway, this refurbishment of the entire pavilion was quite long, and it lasted over a year. And the pavilion reopened again on May 5th, 2005. And even though some of the original messaging has been lost over time, the land still actually educates guests on healthy living and eating.
So one of the things that has remained consistent over the years is the massive mosaics that lead up to the land's entrance. The giant hill that makes your calves cramp. There's a mural. There's one on each side, and they feature a breathtaking array of glass and marble tiles whose patterns are meant to represent the different layers of the earth. Each side is 134 feet long. Both sides are identical except for a very small part on the right-hand side that has one green tile. And this is meant to be the signature of the artist who made it. So sort of like a five-legged goat.
Exactly, hidden within the history segment. So when you first walk into the land, you aren't actually on the first floor. You're actually on the very top floor. And this gives you a fantastic view of the entire pavilion itself, because you can look down and just basically see everything you can do in the land. And you also get a great view of the hot air balloons hanging from the ceiling. When the pavilion first opened under Kraft sponsorship, the 4 balloons were meant to represent the food groups. Now they represent the 4 seasons.
What were the 4 seasons? The 4 food groups by Kraft. That'd be macaroni and cheese.
And then more macaroni and cheese. And then just cheese.
And then just macaroni?
Yeah.
No,
they had to
macaroni
split
by
them up.
itself. No, you gotta have macaroni and cheese and then just cheese.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Well, anyway, so they... back on the show. So at first glance, some folks may not feel like the land is all that special.
You're wrong.
Exactly. If you peel back some of the layers, or dig back some of the... Well, anyway, you'll see what an agricultural wonderland it actually is. The pavilion is home to 4 greenhouses, a fish farm, and numerous research facilities. The greenhouses grow common, everyday food items such as cucumbers and tomatoes, but Jeff says tomatoes, but also some signature items like gigantic melons and pumpkins, because they need the pumpkins for the transformation scene in Cinderella.
That's true, and they have to keep reusing them to get it right.
Yep.
Once all these crops are fully grown, they are harvested and then distributed throughout the resort. And many of these crops can actually be eaten right there within the land pavilion itself in its various restaurants and quick-serve eateries.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't get off the boat to eat some of the food.
No, they generally frown upon that, and we're not saying that from experience.
Generally, yeah. So the point of the pavilion is to educate guests on the importance of living in harmony with the land. Living with the land, the boat ride in the pavilion, is the perfect way to get your learn on. Soarin' may be the most popular attraction at the land, but living with the land is definitely the true hidden gem.
So living with the land is actually kind of like 2 in 1 in a way. The first half shows us the different landscapes, while the second half gives us an up-close view of the agriculture and crop growing. And in the first half, you're introduced to the rainforest, the desert, and the American prairie. And you're meant to see the vast differences between all of them and the harsh elements that threaten each one, along with how, they're still able to sustain plant and animal life.
So the second half of Living with the Land brings us into the greenhouses, or the living laboratories as they are called. The scientists that work here are finding new ways to produce harvest now and into the future. The greenhouse allows us a glimpse into some of the innovative new growing methods, and there are 5 different sections in the greenhouse. You've got the tropics greenhouse, the aqua cell, the temperate greenhouse, the string greenhouse, and the creative greenhouse.
The tropics greenhouse is home to tropical plants such as bananas or jackfruits or miracle fruit, peach palms, dragon fruit, ginger, rice, and many more. And we even learned that the fluted pumpkins, which are grown here, can grow in the porous soil conditions such as those found in Africa. And the ability that this plant has to thrive and survive practically anywhere is a potential lifesaver to millions, and the scientists are studying how to apply that to other plants.
So the temperate greenhouse is where the land's biggest plants are grown. Giant pumpkins, casa bananas, winter melons, and the famous 9-pound lemons. Be a great name for a band.
It would be, actually.
9-pound lemons. The aquacell is the fish farm. They have tilapia, bass, catfish, American alligators, and eels are kept there as well. And the land actually grows 6,500 pounds of fish every year.
The string greenhouse is next, where you learn about 2 innovative growing methods employed at the land. The first is the vertical growing system, and this method actually increases airflow through the leaves, which helps to reduce disease. And many of the plants hang down vertically from above in this section, such as pumpkins, bell peppers, and tomatoes. I did that on purpose.
Good job.
Brought it back around.
The second method is the nutrient film system, which is a hydroponic method that recycles water and nutrients. Some of the things being grown here include strawberries and onions, which is a very weird combination. The final greenhouse is the creative greenhouse. Plants found here include cabbage, rice, dill, and herbs, which I didn't know were creative. They use actually what's called aeroponics to grow the plants. And much like hydroponics, there's no need for soil with this technique. Instead, water and nutrients are sprayed directly onto the plant roots.
So the scientists working here are researching possible plant growing techniques in outer space as well, which could be used on extended space travel trips, because we're all taking those in the future.
Oh yeah, next week, right?
Yeah, totally.
Sweet.
And there's even a chance for guests to see some of these plants up close and personal. However, at the end, the narrator reminds us that we need to work together to find new ways to increase food production and protect our environment.
The pavilion also offers a fantastic hour or so walking tour called Behind the Seeds. It takes you in and around the greenhouses in small groups so you can get a much closer look at the work being done right at the pavilion and walk through those greenhouses we see so briefly on the ride and make fun of the people on the ride too.
Basically, yes.
You can do that.
Also, by far, my favorite tour of any kind at Walt Disney World, Behind the Seeds. Hands
I love
down.
that one.
I think we said that like 1,000 times before, but I do like that one. So even though the ride debuted over 30 years ago, much of it has stayed the same since opening day. That said, there are a handful of differences. For example, the name of the ride did change from Listen to the Land to Living with the Lamb. And as we mentioned earlier, this happened when the ride's sponsorship changed from Kraft to Nestle in 1993. And the opening scene also changed during this time, from the stage of a plant's growth into this dramatic thunderstorm scene.
There was also a great song, being calm here, there was also a great song that went along with the original version called Listen to the Land. And in fact, if you've been on the ride during the original version, I guarantee you'll be humming the tune for the rest of the day. They still play an instrumental version of the song in the pavilion, but it's not the same.
Were you trying to do that in the
what?
George?
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Finally, there used to be a live guide on the boat as you went along your journey. And this cast member did a live spiel, and he or she also answered questions as you went along. But this was replaced by a recorded narration in 2006.
Yeah, because I think it's too hard, telling guests. That was a really stupid question.
Yes.
Don't ask me.
There's only so many ways you can actually say that before you get fired.
So, at the land, the Imagineers and scientists remain dedicated to keeping part of Walt's vision for Epcot Center alive. Growing food on site that is used throughout the resort was something Walt wanted for Epcot, and it's really great to see it in action. The land is unlike anything else that can be found at Walt Disney World. It's more than a pavilion. It's almost like a self-sustaining environment all on its own.
And that is why I would live there during the zombie apocalypse.
What?
Exactly.
Yikes. Gosh, now I'm looking around behind me. I'm a little nervous.
I know you actually did it because your voice got further away from the mic.
Okay, that was kind of scary. I'm just waiting for something to creep up behind me. Anyway, before it gets too scary, we would love to know what you think about the Land Pavilion. Have you done the Behind the Scenes tour? I know I took my oldest son on it, and he still talks about it to this day. And it was really, really hot, but we did go in August. We'd love to know what you think about Living with the Land, how much you don't like Soren or like Soren, or anything else about it. Give us a call on the Communicore Weekly Goat line at 424-785-4628. That's 424-785-GOAT.
He's a nerd, he's a geek, but we all like to hear him speak. So listen up to the words from his speech. It's George's Book of the Week.
All right, so I know that both of us, meaning me and Jeff, both of us just finished Star Wars Dark Disciple, and we know that all the cadets are just waiting to hear our review. Right? Right? Okay.
I'm waiting.
Well, I know you are, but that's okay. So, like some of the other Star Wars books we've mentioned before, when I started Dark Disciple, I wondered how was it going to hold up to what we've read so far, like Tarkin and Heir to the Jedi and things like that. And this book itself, too, Dark Disciple, is an adaptation from a few of the unproduced episodes of the really fantastic Star Wars The Clone Wars. And I wondered, is that going to make this book any different from the other books we've read?
I mean, I think we both can agree, like, the show was great, and we both loved it. So we were kind of in for a treat here, the continuation of the story.
Yeah.
And all the new Star Wars canon that has been coming out lately has been great, so I had really high expectations for this book. And I wasn't let down, per se, but I did have some issues, which we'll get into. But as to the plot of the book, it's darker than most we've seen so far. The Jedi Council decides to assassinate Count Dooku, and I don't know, it's just a weird plot because how often do these defenders of all things good decide, hey, we're going to kill this dude?
Yeah, that's an interesting proposition, and there's so many times you think, why didn't they just blow up Dooku's ship or something?
Yeah.
I mean, this is an assassination in the Star Wars universe. It just doesn't happen from the good guys. Because if you talk about killing someone in the heat of battle, is different from putting a price on their head.
Yes.
So the Jedi Council does decide that there's no way to end the Clone Wars until Count Dooku is dead. So the council calls in Jedi Master Quinlan Vos, who we first meet in one of the Dark Horse comics, and they want him to try to recruit someone who might not consider assassination a problem, especially with the likes of Count Dooku.
So, if you're going to assassinate someone, I mean, it obviously would help to have some inside knowledge on them, especially from someone who may have experienced it firsthand. And so Voss sets out to track down fan-favorite Clone Wars character Ventress, who is Dooku's former disciple-turned-enemy, and that's when things get pretty interesting.
Yeah, the book does take some weird spins, including some sides of Obi-Wan Kenobi that you just don't expect, like him hanging out in a bar. Well, he did that in the first movie.
I was going to say, that's literally like one of the first things you see him do in the movie.
Anyway.
But he's older then, so I mean...
Yeah, that's true.
Guy deserves a drink. He's seen a lot.
So Asajj Ventress, she turns out to be a really well-rounded character, which I was glad to see. And it builds on the storylines from the Dark Horse comics and the Clone Wars show. And we really get to go inside of her character and see some of her inner workings, sort of. Her metaphysical inner workings, I guess. And, Quinlan Vos was a different story altogether. He's instantly likable, and then he takes a strange and dark path that doesn't always make sense.
And yeah, that's pretty much where I had the most issues with the book overall. It seemed to spend too much time on this one particular area, especially going back and forth on too many double and triple and however many other more crosses that took place. I mean, maybe it would have been played out better on TV, but in book form, it was just too much and not really that interesting or as exciting as it should have been. So I was kind of like, all right, is this over? Nope, still another 28 pages of this.
And with looking at the dark side and falling to the dark side, I always thought it would be more like in the films, but I guess you don't see it as much. I mean, there's Darth Vader. He's Darth Vader. Wow. So they had to explore that a little bit, and maybe I saw it as different because of the relationship between Asajj and Vos. But the amount of double crossing and all those other crossings that Jeff mentions.
Yeah, pedestrian crossings, children crossings,
duck crossings,
yeah. Death Star crossings, all those.
Yeah. That was pretty funny to expect that. They seem to be not quite a filler, but maybe a filler. Not really sure. I still really enjoyed the book, and Star Wars fans are gonna like it. They're really gonna like it. it falls into the same plot traps as some of the other books. I mean, we know that Count Dooku doesn't get killed here, but I guess the real oomph or the meat to the story is in the relationship between Asajj and Voss, occupied with how they deal with Obi-Wan and the Jedi Council.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy the rest of the book, much like George said, and it was great to see Ventress's story play out some more and see where her path takes her. But we all know how Dooku meets his end, so we know that Voss's plan was kind of doomed from the start. But that said, like they always say, it's not about the goal, it's the journey there. And I did enjoy the journey through the book, despite some ups and downs, and I would still recommend it, especially for fans of the Clone Wars show.
Yeah, I thought it was a good book. It does add to the Star Wars universe, which is what we're really looking for. And, Asajj Ventress has been a very intriguing character from her introduction. And I thought it was enjoyable to get to know her better, so to speak, in the book form. The action's very well written. The dialogue was great. I could actually hear the characters speaking in their voice from the Clone Wars show, which I thought was good. He had the dialogue down. And it did seem like the book was a little bit longer than necessary, but it was all those crossings. Again, all those crossing. And it's not a big complaint about the book. I did really enjoy it. And, I think with all these things, Star Wars fans have a lot to rejoice. They really do.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to cap off the end of the Star Wars Clone Wars story before, you jump into Episode 3. And as learning more about some of these characters that we grew to love over the course of the series, it's a great way to kind of reconnect with them. Obviously a little bit darker than past entries, but still a good entry into the overall Star Wars canon.
Yes, so I think we both recommend it. It was good. It's probably not our favorite one so far.
No, it's not my favorite, but I still enjoyed it.
So this week's book was Star Wars Dark Disciple. I had to look by Christy Golden.
If it's a legend that you seek, come on and take a peek at the window of the week.
This window is actually located in Hong Kong Disneyland, and it reads, Town Square Planning Company, no land too big for our big ideas. Tom Morris, Chris Carradine, surveyors. Now, Tom Morris was a show producer for Fantasyland at Disneyland Paris, and would later become vice president and executive producer of Hong Kong Disneyland. And Chris Carradine was vice president and executive concept architecture for Hong Kong Disneyland.
Sometimes you might see it, sometimes you don't. Hey, look, what's that? It's a five-legged goat.
So this five-legged goat, we're going to tie back to the land a little bit. And in one of the opening scenes, when you're going through the different lands, you go into the prairie. And you see the mighty buffalo and some of the prairie dogs and some chickens, and along with this peaceful farm. But many of these audio animatronics that are seen in this scene here were originally made for the Western River Expedition. But since the Western River Expedition never came to be, they were moved here just so they, can continue being used. And now that I'm saying this out loud, I want to say maybe we used this as a goat before.
No. Remember we used the goat that has the projector hidden inside the buffalo.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Remember?
Nailed it.
The big question is, how do you get a projector inside of a buffalo?
That's true. How do you get a projector? Very carefully.
Very carefully,
the answer.
that's what I was going to say.
Very carefully.
Ooh, well, and speaking of something we're not being very careful with, it is time to make the announcement for our Year of a Million or So Limited Time Cadets prize winner for this week. And as a reminder, every week is part of our amazing and wonderful 4th season. We are in our 4th year of doing the show. We are giving away a prize. And they're all awesome.
They are all awesome, guys.
Sometimes they're books, sometimes they're Blu-ray, sometimes they're
Sometimes we give out more than one prize a week, like this week.
Yes. So, Jeff, the prize this week comes courtesy of Mr. Heimbuck. It is 2 Disneyland 60th Anniversary prize packs, which include park maps, replica.
It's like a replica map, like the park maps that were special for that day, and they had a replica of the opening day map of Disneyland.
Okay, gotcha.
Inside, which was cool.
Just the word replica by itself. And
sorry
I was like, that would
to
be
confuse
like
you.
A replicant from Blade Runner.
Sorry, that was my bad, guys.
Okay,
sorry.
So park maps, the replicas, stationery
from the hotels, which I'm going to write a letter on.
Ooh,
as well.
coasters. Now those things you put drinks on.
Yes,
not
yes.
the roller coasters.
Yes.
And a button or a postcard.
Yes, the button says I was there, for the 60th anniversary, and then or a postcard with the 60th anniversary logo on it. And
it's like the postcard says I wasn't there.
I was not here, wish you were
Or I
here,
was
that
here,
kind of thing.
You weren't here, that sort
Yes.
of thing.
They were very limited giving out these things, so like I had to work really hard to walk in and out of the park to get these things for you guys, and I'm not an eBayer. I mean, I could have sold it for $6 on eBay if I really wanted to.
Well,
That
the
was
thing,
insane,
too,
by the way.
I kept trying to put my name in here, and Jeff is like, "Who keeps putting George T in here?"
Yeah,
He doesn't get
bizarre.
to win anything. I was
Yeah, I'm just gonna delete that.
like, "Dang it."
You know, I'll
Okay.
just send you one, George.
I know.
for
it's kinda
$12.
refreshed Anyway. Okay. So this week's two winners, because we have two winners, Ariel N. from Alpharetta, Georgia, and Lexi S. from Naperville, Illinois. So
Hooray!
yes, Ariel and Lexi, congratulations. And we didn't talk about how to win this prize, so we're hoping people are still listening. You can email us at any time at communicoreweekly@gmail.com, but we do have to have your name, your address so we can mail things to you, and your birthday. We need the month and the day. I know we posted this on Facebook that we were doing this prize, and we got a huge number of responses, and I know there were about 30 or so that Jeff had to email back and go, what's your name?
Or your address, or your
address?
state.
So we need those sort of things, so please don't make
It's
Jeff...
okay if you leave off your birthday, but I kind of need your name and address.
Yeah. Jeff, he gets tired. So
That's true.
Got work to do. So email us at communicoreweekly@gmail.com to enter this contest, and we've still got a few more months to go. We're hitting about 4 months now.
We're almost at the end.
So,
Almost there.
and speaking of the end, we are at the end of this week's episode of Communicore Weekly. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening.
And of course, however you absorb the show, whether it's on iTunes or YouTube, rate us on iTunes or leave us a comment on YouTube. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, we do. And email us at communicoreweekly@gmail.com just to say, hello, is it us you're emailing?
Well done, George. Well done.
All right.
You can also like us on the Facebook at facebook.com/Communicore Weekly.
And follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and check out our Periscopes. We've both been Periscoping. Jeff a little bit heavier than I have.
A little bit.
You can follow me on all those at I'm at Imaginerding, and Jeff is at Jeff Heimbuck.
And of course, you can leave us a message on the Communicore Weekly Goat line at 424-785-4628.
And don't forget, we've got t-shirts for sale. Lovely t-shirts, including our Flushing on Our Own Terms is coming. We know it is.
We know it's coming.
Great design.
It's pretty hilarious.
And you can go see those at communicoreweekly.spreadshirt.com, and also pick up a copy of Communicore Weekly the musical. We haven't pushed that in a while. It's
Yeah, we haven't. That's
45 minutes of brilliance.
if we do say so ourselves.
Mainly because Andy had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, that's true. Fair
That's
point.
what it
Fair
is.
point.
So, and Jeff had something to do with it too.
A little bit. You can also send us a self-addressed stamped envelope for your Communicore Weekly membership card and sticker at Communicore Weekly, P.O. Box 432, Orange, California, 92856.
Yes, we love those cards. We do love giving them out. You can always support us on patreon.com. So visit patreon.com/Communicore Weekly and help your favorite podcasters out. We would love it. For Jeff Heimbuck, I'm George Taylor.
And for George Taylor, I'm Jeff Heimbuck. Thanks so much for listening, guys and gals. And I didn't step on George's name at the end there. We'll see you next time on Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show.
Norm Gibney.